Behind the propaganda, beneath the frost, there's a Russia the world refuses to see. A nuclear giant bleeding out. A superpower on life support. Its cities are haunted by the ghosts of decisions no one dares to question. And while the world watches, millions face restricted freedoms in a system built on power and control. This isn't propaganda. These are documented facts from UN investigations, human rights organizations, and leaked government documents. 10 realities so dark they'll shatter everything you thought you knew. This is survival, and it's running out. If you're still watching, you're already different. You want the truth, raw, unfiltered, dangerous? Hit that like button right now. Subscribe and smash that bell icon, because what comes next will make you question everything. Welcome back to Dark Decoded X, and today we're crossing into territory most channels won't touch. Modern Russia has become a laboratory of control, violence, and systematic oppression that mirrors the darkest chapters of the 20th century. Most people see Russia as the villain in a geopolitical thriller, but the real story? It's darker than fiction. This is a nation where the economy is a ticking time bomb, where young men vanish into frozen trenches, and where truth is a criminal offense. Today, we're pulling back the Iron Curtain on 10 realities that define modern Russia. Realities that are shocking, lethal, and completely real. Welcome to Dark Decoded X. Let's decode the darkness. Chapter 10. 20 million gone by 2050. The demographic death spiral. Russia is dying. Not metaphorically, literally. The population is shrinking at catastrophic rates. Over 600,000 Russians died in 2022 alone due to factors ranging from alcoholism to suicide to the Russia-Ukraine war. Birth rates have plummeted to historic lows. Young people are fleeing the country in waves, seeking futures elsewhere. The working-age population is vanishing, leaving behind an aging nation with fewer people to sustain its infrastructure, economy, and military. Experts warn that by 2050, Russia could lose another 20 million people. Schools close in villages that no longer have children. Entire towns are becoming geriatric ghost settlements, where the only growth industry is graveyards. Women of childbearing age choose sterilization over bringing children into a dying state. Birth control becomes an act of mercy. This isn't just a crisis, it's an extinction-level event for a civilization. The Kremlin knows it, but they're not talking about it. The silence itself is a weapon. What happens when a nuclear superpower simply runs out of people? Chapter 9. The human meat grinder. Russia's disposable soldiers. The Russia-Ukraine war has become a slaughterhouse. Russian soldiers, many of them conscripts with minimal training, are deployed to high-casualty zones with minimal training. Independent estimates suggest over 300,000 Russian casualties, dead or wounded since the invasion began. Families receive zinc coffins if they're lucky. Many never hear anything at all. The government hides the numbers, buries the bodies in unmarked graves, and keeps recruiting. Young men are pulled off the streets, given outdated rifles, and sent to die in fields they've never heard of. Mothers file missing person reports that are stamped classified and returned unopened. Bureaucratic silence that confirms the worst. Some units are facing reports of severe discipline, including threats of lethal consequences for desertion just to keep the meat grinder running. This isn't a strategy, it's desperation. And the worst part, most Russians don't even know the scale of the loss. How many more will vanish before the truth surfaces? Chapter 8. Economic collapse. When missiles replace medicine. Western sanctions have turned Russia's economy into a pressure cooker. The ruble collapsed. Imports vanished overnight. Major corporations fled. McDonald's, Starbucks, Apple, all gone. The United States and European allies have frozen hundreds of billions in Russian assets. Inflation skyrocketed. Russians can't afford basic goods. The middle class is evaporating. Meanwhile, Putin pours what's left into the war machine. Oil revenues keep the lights on, but they're dwindling. China buys discounted oil, but at humiliating prices. The Russian economy is now a wartime economy, with military production at all costs. Pensioners choose between medicine and food, while factory workers churn out artillery shells they'll never benefit from. The state promises victory, but the grocery shelves stay empty and the heating stays off. But here's the kicker. You can't eat tanks. You can't heat your home with missiles. The collapse isn't coming, it's already here. What happens when a nation's wealth becomes a weapon against its own people? Chapter 7. The Digital Prison. Russia's 24/7 surveillance state. Russia has built the most sophisticated censorship machine on Earth. Independent news outlets have been crushed. Journalists are jailed or poisoned. Social media is monitored 24/7. The government controls what you see, what you read, and what you think. VPNs are illegal. Speaking out is terrorism. Calling the Ukraine-Russia war a war instead of a special military operation can land you in prison for 15 years. The internet, once a symbol of freedom, has become a cage. Russians live in an information black hole, force-fed state propaganda. Most don't even realize it. Children report their parents to authorities for whispered doubts at the dinner table and are rewarded with certificates and praise. Dissent doesn't just disappear, it's erased from memory, scrubbed from records as if the person never existed at all. The scariest part? It's working. A generation is growing up believing the lies. How do you fight an enemy when the battlefield is inside your mind? Chapter 6. Rust and Ruin, the Navy that can't sail. Russia's Navy, once a symbol of Soviet dominance, is now a rusting graveyard. The Black Sea Fleet has been decimated by Ukrainian strikes. Submarines are obsolete. Aircraft carriers that never worked still don't. Sailors serve on vessels that are literally falling apart. Corruption has gutted maintenance budgets. Admirals pocketed the money meant for repairs. The result? Ships that can't sail. Weapons that don't fire. A navy that exists only on paper. Young conscripts are still assigned to these death traps, sleeping in flooded compartments with broken heating, waiting for orders that will never come. Some vessels sink at dock, not from enemy fire, but from sheer neglect and rot. Crew members develop lung diseases from toxic mold and asbestos exposure, while superiors falsify safety reports to avoid blame. When accidents happen, and they do constantly, families are paid hush money and forced to sign NDAs about how their sons really died. Yet the Kremlin parades these floating coffins as if they're still a threat. It's a threat. Deadly, expensive threat. And the world is watching. What good is a navy when it can't even leave port? Still here? Good. This gets darker. Like and subscribe right now. You'll need to see what's coming next. Hit that bell icon. Chapter 5. Toxic Homeland. Children born into contamination. Environmental destruction in Russia is apocalyptic. Industrial waste floods rivers. Radioactive zones from Soviet experiments remain lethal. Entire towns are poisoned by lead, mercury, and chemical runoff. Children grow up with deformities. Cancer rates are staggering. The government doesn't clean it up, they classify it. They fence it off and pretend it doesn't exist. Meanwhile, the permafrost is melting, releasing ancient diseases and methane into the atmosphere. Siberia is burning. The Arctic is collapsing. Russia's land is eating itself alive. Mothers bury children who never had a chance, born into contamination, poisoned before their first breath. The doctors know, but they're forbidden from writing environmental cause on death certificates. Residents are warned not to drink tap water, grow vegetables, or let children play outside. Entire lives are lived as prisoners in their own toxic homes. The contamination maps are state secrets. People die in zones they don't even know are lethal. And no one is coming to help, because no one wants to admit how bad it really is. Can a nation survive when its own soil turns toxic? Chapter 4. One man, one state. Putin's personality cult of fear. Putin isn't just a president, he's a brand, a religion. His face is everywhere. Billboards, textbooks, churches. Criticism is heresy. Opposition is suicide. Literally, Alexei Navalny, Boris Nemtsov, Anna Politkovskaya. The list of dead critics is long and growing. Putin has been in power for over 2 decades, reshaping Russia into his image. Elections are staged. Democracy is a puppet show. Yet millions worship him. Why? Fear, propaganda, and the absence of alternatives. He's convinced an entire nation that without him there is only chaos. School children are taught to draw his portrait before they learn to write their own names. Indoctrination begins in kindergarten. Political opponents don't just disappear. Their families lose jobs, their children are expelled from universities, and their existence is systematically dismantled. And maybe he's right. Because Russia has forgotten how to exist without a czar. What happens when one man becomes the entire state? Chapter 3. The Prison Nation, where dissent equals death. Russia has become a nation of prisoners, political dissidents, LGBTQ+ individuals, journalists, protesters, anyone who questions the Kremlin. Gulags may be history, but the prisons are full. Torture is routine, confessions are forced, families are silenced. The most terrifying part, many prisoners are sent to the Russia-Ukraine front as cannon fodder. Fight for us or rot in a cell. It's not a choice, it's a death sentence with options. Prison doctors perform experimental medical procedures without consent, treating inmates as disposable test subjects for military pharmaceuticals. Some detainees are held in solitary confinement for years without trial, forgotten in legal black holes where paperwork mysteriously vanishes and lawyers are denied access. Human rights organizations can't keep up with the abuses. The world watches, horrified, but powerless. Because Russia doesn't care about international condemnation, they've built a system where fear is the law. How many voices have been silenced in the name of order? Chapter 2. Brain Drain. Exodus, Russia's future walks away. Russia's brightest minds are fleeing. Coders, engineers, artists, and doctors. Hundreds of thousands have left since 2022. They're called traitors. But they're just trying to survive. They don't want to be drafted. They don't want to live in a police state. They don't want their children growing up in a country with no future. The brain drain is catastrophic. The ones who stay are often those who have no choice. The economy loses innovation. The culture loses vitality, and Putin's regime doubles down, branding immigrants as enemies. Border guards confiscate passports at airports, trapping those who hesitated too long. Exit visas are being quietly reinstated. Soviet style. Universities are hemorrhaging professors. Lecture halls sit empty while state propaganda fills the curriculum with approved ideology instead of actual knowledge. But you can't arrest geography. The best of Russia's already gone, and they're not coming back. What's left of a nation after its future walks away? Chapter 1. 6,000 warheads. The nuclear threat Russia lives by. Russia holds the world's largest nuclear arsenal, over 6,000 warheads, and the threats are constant. Putin has hinted at nuclear use in the Ukraine-Russia war. Officials on state TV casually discuss obliterating cities. It's psychological warfare, but the weapons are real. The world watches terrified because everyone knows one mistake, one miscalculation, and this all ends. Not just for Russia, for everyone. The nukes are the only card Russia has left. A desperate, dying empire clutching the button. Military analysts quietly warn that Russia's nuclear command and control systems are aging, prone to false alarms and Cold War-era technology managing civilization-ending weapons. Some warheads are stored in facilities so deteriorated that unauthorized access or accidental detonation becomes statistically more likely with each passing year. The question isn't if they'll threaten to use it again. It's whether they actually will. How do you negotiate with a nation that weaponizes the apocalypse? You made it. That means you're ready for more. Aggressively smash that like button, subscribe, and hammer that bell icon so you never miss what we uncover next. Comment your thoughts. We read every single one. Share this video. The algorithm buries the truth. 10 realities, one nation, infinite darkness. Russia's story isn't over. It's evolving into something we can't predict. Stay with us. The next documentary pulls back another curtain. The lies go deeper than you think. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. This is Dark Decoded X. The truth doesn't sleep. Neither do we.